Welcome food fans, picky eaters, the flavor curious, and everyone in between. Nothing makes good food better than good conversation. And your table is ready. Come right this way to the Food For ThoughtCast with your host, Melissa Reagan. But you can call her Chef. All right, let's get this episode started.
Hey there, food fans. Welcome back to the Food For ThoughtCast with me, your host, Melissa Reagan, and as always, my co-host with the most.
Co-host.
Buddy?
Hola.
Hola. What's going on with you?
Oh, I am a little lethargic right now from a heavy meal.
Yes.
And I'm happy, and I'm just winding down after a fun day. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What did you eat today?
So I found some leftover venison, or not leftover venison, but I found some venison cuts in my freezer and I let them thaw out. And when you pull something out and you think, what in the world is this? I know it's not beef. So I'm going to go on a limb and say it's venison. And I'm pretty sure it was because it tasted nice and gamey and it was good. We seasoned that up with that Finch barbecue seasoning because you turned me on to that. And how dare you for turning me on to such a delicious, awesome, amazing. I have many more adjectives for it, but that seasoning is just awesome. So yeah, it was kind of like a barbecue venison taco. Yeah.
Nice. So how did you cook them? So did you like slow cook it or
No, I seasoned it and just pan fried that sucker.
Nice.
Yeah. And
was that the most amazing thing that you ate this week? That
would be the most amazing thing I had this week. Yes.
Nice.
What about you? What was the most amazing thing you had this week?
Let's see. So I made what my family affectionately calls 7-can stew yesterday.
Yeah.
And so in short, it's like 7 different canned items that you just plop into a pot, bring to a boil. But I actually did put the Finch Lone Star beef rub in that seasoning. So I had that.
And you have to use it is just a good excuse.
I also made a pan of cornbread. So I've talked before, on this podcast about how I'm not a vegan, but sometimes I'll just go that direction. But sometimes it's just convenient, right? Like I have vegan alternatives for every single baked good because sometimes I don't have eggs and milk or butter in the house. Right. So it's like, okay, well, the backup plan is this. And it's delicious, it's delicious.
I think a vegan cornbread does not sound bad at all to me. You can still make it delicious. You can still make it moist and hearty and all that good stuff. And it's still going to be good,
Yeah. I mean, there's some things where I'm like, okay, why bother? But I mean, pancakes, waffles, quick bread, muffins, cornbread, like, dude, sometimes I just don't have the right ingredients on hand, but I don't want to leave the house and I still want to have what I want. So I just kind of figured out different ways to do it, So, but yeah, it got cold and it's been rainy and kind of gross. And yeah, I had soup and cornbread. So nothing wrong with that.
Oh, soup and cornbread is awesome. So let me ask you this. Could you do cornbread like a dessert?
Yes.
Really? How would you make that a dessert?
Corn pudding. Indian pudding is a really old East Coast, like molasses, stone ground corn, milk, butter. That's standard. It's like a porridge, right? And then for me, I like to, how you would like boil a corn cobs to make a custard base? Like if you were going to make like corn creme brulee or like sweet corn,
right?
I would do that, and then I would just I would probably separate the eggs, whip the whites into it, and kind of make a souffle type deal, but with like cornmeal still in it.
Very exquisite.
It's so bougie.
I I was just talking about, like, for example, the other day I saw someone do like a cornbread dessert on, like, I think it was Instagram, and they basically just made a good looking cornbread and put like frosting on it and stuff, and then like they drizzled it with honey.
I mean, so that sounds amazing. I like my cornbread sweet. I know some people don't, but if I was gonna make like a dessert version, well, then I would just go way easy. I would just do half yellow cake batter, half cornbread batter.
That actually sounds pretty good. We're gonna have to try that.
Like cream corn, maybe, and then for the wet, and then I don't know, candy pecans, maple syrup. You know, it can go there. Ice cream on top. Holy God! Okay, the podcast is over. I gotta go make it right now.
Well, I guess that kind of ties into cornbread. Could kind of tie into today's discussion. No, what do you think?
I think it can.
What are we talking about today?
Well, I was thinking about how January is a great time to start a new year, so it got me thinking about starters, and
I see what you did there.
and hors d'oeuvres, and yeah. So let's get into it. That's what we're talking about today. All the things you eat before the main course.
A meal.
Before the meal. It's the pre-meal. So
that's true.
Indeed.
What do you think of when you think of appetizers?
I always think of handheld items that you can dip. I guess my mind is always like the chicken tender, the croquette, it's chips and dip, you know, cheese stick. Very TGI Fridays if you say the word appetizer. What about you?
I think of like dips personally.
Like the spinach artichoke or something.
Yeah, and like just loud restaurants in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Because you go to like a cool restaurant, like BJ's Brew House, the Hofbrau, like all those cool like chains and whatnot. It's loud as can be. Everyone's talking, having a good old time. You order some appetizers, have a drink, and you just like enjoy it. That's what I think of when I think of appetizers. Is that weird, or is it just because I like to think of experiences?
No, I don't think it's weird at all. I mean, food can inform our experiences, and then vice versa, right? Like memories can inform our food taste. And so I think appetizer as a word conjures something specific. And then what if I asked you about a starter? Does that change it?
Not really, because I think they're two the same. Like I just think of them together. But do you know what the word appetizer means and where it came from?
Yeah, it's something that stimulates the appetite. Just to make everything more appetizing.
Yeah, sure. That's what I was going to say. Why not?
Well, Stephen, what if I said first courses? What if you saw first courses on a menu subheading? Would you think, oh, I'm not in Kansas anymore? Or what would you think?
The connotation I would have would be, okay, this one's going to be small.
Yeah.
Whenever I see courses, I always expect like at least 5. Sure. And so I'm like, okay, they're all going to be small courses, but the first one's going to be like the smallest because I'm just wetting my beak, if you will, you know?
Yeah. All right. So we talked about appetizer, starters, first courses. Like, what if you were talking about hors d'oeuvres? What do you think?
I think handheld, bite-sized stuff, you know, where everyone comes across with a tray and then you just like grab and go, you know? That's what I think.
Yeah, so listeners, in the business, we call those passed or butler passed hors d'oeuvres, right? You got some dude in a suit, napkin draped over the arm. It's one or two bites. You're going to eat it standing.
So right? What do you think of when you hear the word canapes?
Canapes. So canapes, I always think of as something on bread, a carrier of something.
Okay.
Right? Crostini, potato pancake, blini, like teeny tiny. Something on something else, but still one bite.
Yeah.
To me, a canape is like a tapa that has a college degree. It's just like so. It's what I think of. I can't.
You always have to be careful when you say tapas, though. You know, like
yes, I once. Yes, I know.
Yeah, you already know where I'm going with that.
I used to have to really slow down and enunciate that because I would tell people I used to work at a tapas bar.
Yeah.
Tapas.
I still remember the first time I told my friend, we're going to go to a tapas bar. It's going to be really good. You're going to have a good time. We got there and Yeah, exactly. Everyone's got their clothes on. What the hell, man? Okay, that story never really happened, but every time I say tapas, I always think of that.
In your
That
brain.
bad
Well,
joke.
it needs to be like in a screenplay or somewhere, because I don't think anybody's done it yet, but they could totally do it in like a food comedy or something.
Right?
So let's go back to hors d'oeuvres. So hors d'oeuvres gained popularity in French dining in the 17th and 18th centuries. But did you know that every culture since the Greeks and Romans have served small morsels of food before the main course? Do you know
I
that?
didn't know that.
Yeah. There were the Romans, they ate cheese and olives and vegetables. And then, the Greeks and Italians and Egyptians, they all had like a meze course or mezzo, kind of in between, right? In Italy, it's called antipasto, and Scandinavian food is a smorgasbord, which is like a large feast of a lot of little things, right? And then tapas, in Spain, actually originates from a little piece of bread you would put over your glass of alcohol to keep the flies out. And to make the little piece of bread more appetizing, they started putting things on it for the bar patrons, right? Little shrimp or little meatball or piece of pork or something like that. So tapadera, top in Spanish. My accent is terrible, but you get my drift.
All I could say is yum.
Yes, indeed. It's so initially it started out as cold, tiny bites, just intended to whet people's appetite. In the 1920s, there was an American cookbook published called A Book of Hors d'oeuvres. So it became really mainstream. And in the 20th century, they were really, really common. Like, you never went to somebody's house without getting a little bite of something here and there, or initially served for cocktail hour. And then that's where something like shrimp cocktail and cocktail sauce comes from, because those were the types of things, right, served during cocktail hour with the drinks.
I absolutely love shrimp cocktail. I don't care what anyone says.
I would smash some shrimp cocktail, but I have, I won't say that I'm picky. I'm very discerning when it comes to shrimp cocktail, man. Because
why is that?
There's no way to cover up the mistakes, right? It's cold, right? It's not covered. It's your choice of whether you dip it into the sauce or not. You cannot hide the mistakes. It's not like a burger where you could like shove a piece of burnt cheese under the patty, or maybe you could like scrape the bun if it's burnt. I mean, there's no getting around. There's no hiding sins. And so the shrimp has to be super fresh. It's got to be really cold. I'm the unlucky Joe that always ends up getting a piece of shell or something weird. So I'm always careful about where I order, but it's really, really good. It's good. It's so good.
So then the question that everyone's thinking right now is, what is your all-time favorite appetizer?
Oh, man. It's a really, really hard one.
Loaded question, I know, but
super.
you can't have an episode about this and not tell everyone what your favorite appetizer is. Yeah.
So if I'm out and about, well, I feel like, us as chefs, we're going to have a couple different categories, right, to be able to answer this. Unless yours is like a blanket answer, this is my favorite appetizer no matter what. But I'm a huge fan of spinach artichoke dip, and I usually don't pass it up if it's on somebody's menu. I feel the way about spinach artichoke dip that I do about creme brulee. So,
you kind of took the words right out of my mouth, because I'm in the same boat.
Really?
I especially love when they serve that spinach artichoke dip with just the best crostinis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that just makes the entire thing. Like, even though you cut the roof of your mouth with all that bread, what makes up for it is that nice, warm spinach artichoke dip.
There are a couple of classic, I'll call them like steakhouse appetizers that I won't pass up. So if I'm in a really nice place that I feel like is going to have really good shrimp cocktail, it's going to be shrimp cocktail, or maybe it's like crab claw cocktail or something like that. And then spinach artichoke dip is one of them. What about stuffed mushrooms? I
like stuffed mushrooms quite a bit. I especially like it when they're stuffed with seafood and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those, I have to try it, I'm also a big fan of like the steak tartare and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Whenever you see that at a restaurant, which you don't really see much of these days.
Yeah, yeah. You don't
Totally worth
see
it.
much steak tartare. So the other day, I got in the mood for some, and you can tell me if you've ever had this because it seems to be like depends on where you grew up and which family you grew up in. But have you ever had the Mexican style beef tartare where you let it sit overnight? It's like minced raw beef. I think it's called carne apachita, and you let it sit overnight in lime juice and like pico de gallo, and you eat it on crackers the next day, and the lime juice cooks it, dude.
I've had
I
that a
just,
handful of times.
dude, I used to have some staff that would bring it like 2 pounds at a time to work. We eat it when it's hot outside, you know.
Dang.
It's just yeah, right.
They must have loved you to bring that much. That's awesome.
But you know, or maybe they loved each other and they just felt sorry for me and shared. But you know, I don't really know, right?
I
But
like my story better, you know.
well, I love a classic, you know, beef tartare Dijon and an egg yolk, and I love that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And if there's like ahi poke or ahi tuna tower or ahi tuna wontons, ahi tuna insert word here. I usually order it.
Yeah,
Like,
most
can't.
definitely.
Yeah, I can't not. That's something I won't pass up.
So then I have to ask you, would you consider a salad an appetizer?
Yeah, I think so. I think it depends on what you're eating, and you know, is it one of those things where it's like I ordered this entree and a salad and soup as a starter was an option, or but I'm a really big fan of entree salad. So yeah, I consider a little house salad might be. It gets tricky though, right? Because it's like, okay, what could be my first course? Maybe the appetizer was something else. I don't know.
Okay.
You know,
I would totally see a salad as an appetizer. Yeah, most definitely.
yeah. Well, you know, so the technical differences, right, between hors d'oeuvres and appetizers. Um, an appetizer is considered something that's served to the table once. So if we're at Chili's, we're talking about avocado egg rolls, like served big plate, right?
I love avocado egg rolls. I don't care
they're
what
really
anyone
good.
says, dude. Those are awesome.
They're really, really good. And then they're served directly to you while you're seated at a table, and so that's 3 to 4 bites a piece, right? Hors d'oeuvres, technically 1 to 2 bites a piece, served as kind of a mingling food, really small portions, usually passed around, right? What about? Well, let's talk a little bit about. I feel like appetizer, starter, first course, hors d'oeuvre. It all has like a big brother. It all has a predecessor. You ready? Let's talk about amuse-bouche.
I think those are the best.
Yes.
It's such a great way to start your meal because it shows that the kitchen loves you, but it's also a good way for the kitchen to use up product.
Yes. So, Stephen, tell the listeners what amuse-bouche is.
So it's like a pre-appetizer. It's an even smaller bite-sized piece of food that you get before you start your meal in general. What I like to do is if I'm at a nice restaurant, I have to have a cocktail and, you know, wait to sip it before, like while I'm waiting for my amuse-bouche, you know what I'm saying? Like it just kind of goes hand in hand, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, you could do anything with an amuse-bouche. I mean, anything. And it just like sets the tone off for like a good meal, in my opinion.
Yeah. So like Steve was saying, an amuse-bouche. And so for those of you who don't know, that's French for it's amusing your mouth, basically. It's something to entertain your mouth. Entertaining your taste buds, for lack of a better explanation, right? But that's how it translates. It's to entertain you while you're waiting on the other things. Sometimes it's a chance for the chef or chefs to show off a little bit. Sometimes it's a chance for them to move product. And when we say that, it doesn't mean that it's always old or anything's wrong with it, right? Maybe you just ran a special and it didn't all sell, and now you can make little bite-sized portions of it. It's very, very strategic, and it comes in handy. And sometimes, honestly, like maybe it's a little preview of what your meal's going to be, right? Amuse-bouche can be very last minute, or it can be like extremely thoughtful. It's a couple different ways you can approach it. So
I know that when I was in restaurants, I always enjoyed coming up with the amuse-bouche because it was not on the menu and it changed almost daily. And so it really got to let you show your creativity, like you were saying, So it was awesome. Like I've come up with some really awesome ones. I came up with a couple that were not the best, but you know what? They were still palatable, so it's all good.
I had some absolute go-tos when it was like a Wednesday night. I'd be like, oh God, I have to cut off the amuse bouche again. And then I had some like really awesome ones that, were kind of a once in a blue moon type deal. But yeah, the amuse bouche is always a ton of fun. I think it's like a little present from the kitchen. And then when we're talking about hors d'oeuvres and canapes and things like that, what are some favorite past, hors d'oeuvres that you've encountered over the years? Do you have anything notable?
I mean, the ones that I always happen to see whenever there's hors d'oeuvres is the crab cakes, like the little mini crab cakes, stuff like that, the meatballs, things like that. As far as canapes, I have seen a lot of like I've seen like the steak tartare on the little crostini. That one always says, okay, they love you just a little bit more versus like the shrimp or the crab cakes and stuff like that. That's just my opinion. Like I said, I've seen a lot of very traditional ones that you would think of. Whenever I do stuff like that, I always try to think outside the box and do something that no one's really going to think of. I mean, I'll do shooters. I'll do, just stuff that's vegan. I'll do stuff that, I'll try to come up with the most unique hors d'oeuvres and canapes just for being different and weird sake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a lot of things to play around with. There's definitely the classics, right? There's the crostini with the meat, maybe a little bit of blue cheese, like onion marmalade type deal. You can do steak with a little, the bane of our existence, microgreen salad for no reason. The shooters get really interesting. Like I always love the idea of like a ceviche shooter. So when we say shooters, it's exactly how it sounds. Everybody listening, and if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. But the shooter, it's usually they can be glass or plastic. I like the plastic kind actually. You can buy many sleeves of, if you're a church people's, it kind of looks like a little communion cup, not gonna lie. So it's like a little plastic shot glass, and sometimes it has like ceviche. Sometimes you can do a little shrimp cocktail in there.
I love the gazpacho shooters for some reason.
Yeah.
And then I also like to add beer to those as well, But if you're doing dry January, then it's just, straight up gazpacho shooters.
Yeah. Then it's just gazpacho. Love gazpacho. Maybe you've like rimmed half of the cocktail shooter with a little salt and sugar mix or salt and pepper. Yeah. It'd be really nice. Or you can put like a tiny, like a Persian cucumber coin or something that'll fit in the top of the cup. And then one of the things that's really fun all the time is like the tomato soup with like a little grilled cheese hat, a tiny little grilled cheese, right?
I'm always afraid of doing like hot shooters because then they get room temp. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you just have to. It's kind of like a wing and a prayer, right? You have to pour them immediately, and you have to be like, go, 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 go to the waiter, right? To the server, right? So
if I get one complaint that it's room temp, I swear I got
those get a little bit dicey. The fried items are always popular, right? So plenty of events where there's been like the coconut shrimp, the tempura shrimp, right? The mini quiche, fantastic hors d'oeuvre choice, right? Really easy to pass, really easy to eat,
Yeah. What's the most unique one that you've ever done?
Let's see. The most unique hors d'oeuvre I ever did was I did corn and crab 3 ways, but in the same dish. Okay. So I made like a kind of like it's like a blue corn grits, basically, for lack of a better word, with a little bit of crab inside, right? Okay. One crab claw on the outside. It was like on a little espresso mug. And then there was like a blue corn and crab tamale like in the top. So it was like crab cornception. People loved it because you could like sip it. You could dip the little like tamale and then you could like dip the crab claw. And it was a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So, yeah.
One of the most interesting ones I have ever done. It didn't quite land well, but it was not bad, and I still will defend it to this day. I made like a crab, like pico de gallo and all that fun stuff, and
also crab, huh? Wow.
Also crab.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets weird. Was because a friend of mine brought in some lime Kool-Aid mix, and I was like, I wonder if that acidity or that acidic flavor from the Kool-Aid would complement the crab. And we put a little bit in there, and it actually didn't suck, in my opinion.
Nice.
It was a hard sell, but it was amuse-bouche and it was free, so people didn't complain. But like I said, I will still stand to this one to this day. Like, it was the most unique one I've ever done.
So did you cut the lime? I'm really intrigued. Did you cut the lime Kool-Aid mix with something else? Like acid?
Well, just a little bit of acid just to, make, just to bring out that flavor. But like you have that kind of sweetness with the citric acid powder, it definitely it definitely goes together. You add just a little pinch of sweetness to it just to, to balance flavors out, But you also go with like some good tomatoes where you get some of that acidic, but you also get a little bit of that sweetness out of it, And then I think we had done like charred peppers and all that to kind of bring out some of that sweetness. So that helped out as well. What
was the carrier for all of that? So you said that you made a crab pico. Was it like a chip?
Well, it was always easy to go with chips. So to kind of make it a little bit more fun, we did like a homemade like cracker, if you will. I don't even remember what I honestly don't remember what it was. Yeah, right. Homemade, girl. But yeah, I think that's what we did. I don't remember what we did as the carrier, but like it was just still like it was the most weird, unique thing ever. And things like that you always remember for the rest of your life. Yeah. And so people are always like, you did what now? What the hell?
But I mean, it's so important, right? Because no matter what you want to call it or what context it's in, hors d'oeuvre, starter, first course, appetizer, mezze, antipasto, it's your first chance to make that first impression, and you only get one shot, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Eminem right now. If you only had one shot, one opportunity.
Yeah, spaghetti and all that good shit.
I got to get it back on the rails. Nope, there will be no 8 Mile. But yeah, it's your chance, right, to make the impression on the diner.
Have you ever been to a place where you just had a terrible amuse-bouche and you already started thinking, okay, this is gonna suck, and then the meal ends up being really good?
Yeah, because I can tell when it's like one of those tasting spoons and it's supposed to be like a crudo, and you can tell that the fish is old because it's kind of mushy, and you're like, oh no.
I'm gonna get sick from this meal, but I'm gonna try it out.
I'm out.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, so we talked about this before, but soup is an appetizer or not?
Appetizer, totally.
Appetizer, yeah.
But it has to be an appetizer. Excuse me, a small portion. So
I think portion size is highly debatable. I don't know.
Right. But so I'm going to circle back to what we were talking about earlier. Can cornbread be an appetizer? If you say no, you're crazy. I think.
No, I think what is it? I mean, it's definitely an accompaniment, but you could make it an appetizer. If you call it like a cornbread skillet and put it with like flavored butters, make for the table, and like, yes, do it. Why not? I
always like the stuffed cornbread or like the skillet. What? Yeah, like you stuff it with like vegetables or like chorizo and stuff like that, or it's like a layer of the cornbread, and then you got a layer of like your filling, quote unquote, and then you put more cornbread batter on top, bake that all off. I think that could be an appetizer.
I feel like, yes, I agree. I feel like at that point, though, it needs to be like mini muffin size in order to be like small.
I think you're wrong on that. No,
well, that's fine.
Mini muffins?
No, the size.
Mini muffin cornbread?
No, the size.
No.
Should be why?
I'm disagreeing. We agree on everything.
Why wouldn't it be individual size? You're talking about a shareable, like something shareable for the table.
Oh, you know what? You just brought up a good point. So our appetizers, should they be shareable or should they be just for one person? What's your take?
So, well, my take, I like the idea of like a family style shareable. The actual definition is that they are shareable.
See, I told you we agree on everything. That's why I have to disagree and throw a wrench in your plans from time to time.
Hey,
Wild card.
We don't have to agree on everything. It just makes it fun.
But we just do. It's strange, right?
Yeah.
But no, I agree with you. It should be shareable, you know. But I really hope that if you're sharing it, it's with someone that you know and trust and who isn't a complete slob who double dips. You know what I'm saying? Do you double dip if you share?
It depends, but usually there's some comment made at be like, "Hey guys, I'm just gonna double dip." Like we all know each other, and people are like, "Okay, that's cool." And I've never really had anybody be like, "No, you can't." So either they felt so embarrassed that they were going to be the only person who spoke up that they just didn't, and they ate it against their will, or really people just don't care. I'm going to go with B, that people just don't care. Do you care? I don't care.
I mean, it depends on who I'm with. Yeah. There's some friends where I don't mind. Like with you, yeah, that's fine. Like when we're at the state fair, totally fine.
Yeah.
There are some friends that I will not dare let double dip. Nope.
I think, that's part of the reason why, even if you get chips and queso, let's go with that one. Like, that's another appetizer that I barely ever pass up ever. Right. they give you the little bowls so everybody can have their own. And then it doesn't have to be all weird.
Well, yeah, but how often do you get your own little bowls?
Well, they should give you your own little
bowls. They should, but they don't.
The places that I go to do. But yeah, I just,
where are you going?
Kind of like the bougie place. My not really
Rockefeller.
Not really though. No, but my go-to line is like, well, none of us has lockjaw, and everybody goes like, ha ha ha, and then I go, yet.
Like I said, I'll share with my wife and a handful of friends, but for the most part, I tell them you better not double dip.
I mean, I get it. I think we could probably have a whole other show about etiquette, but a lot of
that's true.
A lot of etiquette rules are like really dumb and not applicable, but I maybe they come from a place of good intentions, but I don't agree with hardly any etiquette rules. So
I'm pretty feral myself, so yeah. There's also that.
Feral is great. Like, yes, 100%.
It's a very good adjective for me.
A lot of things.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of things. All right. I have this list from Google, which means it must be true. I have 7 different types of appetizers. Are you ready?
No, it's not true because it's not on Facebook. It's only true
if I go put it on Facebook, then it'll be true.
Okay, done.
Okay. Ready? So, of course, hors d'oeuvres.
Right.
Relish trays and crudité. Yeah. Right. A relish tray is just like pickles and olives and all that business. Yeah.
I don't like the idea.
Your worst nightmare.
A tray of pickles. What do you have today? I have nothing but pickles.
I have the pickles. It sounds, I don't know what voices we're doing right now, but it sounds delicious to me, but you don't like pickles. So
I'm just stunned.
It's a punishment for Steve and a treat for me. Such is life.
It's an event that I would not want to be a part of.
Right, exactly. You're not invited to my pickle party.
What?
There's no way for me to
just want to watch the world burn.
There's no way for that to not sound dirty, but here we are. So there's crudité and relish trays, right? Canapés, chips and dip, hors d'oeuvres, cocktails, like we talked about, shrimp cocktail, things like that. Salad and soup, apparently. So salad and soup. So we chef. So
yeah.
This list also goes on to clarify that it includes finger foods. Duh.
I would include that too. Yeah. Technically, finger foods are like.
If you have like a stuffed jalapeno of some kind, even if it's just a crappy frozen popper, I'm a sucker for that.
I would eat it. I would make it fancy by sticking little toothpicks in there. I mean, that's class. It's only class, if you use plastic toothpicks.
So listeners, Steve and I need to have some like inside baseball conversation right now about the variety of toothpicks in banquet appetizer world. So
skewers is what we call it in the fancy word.
Skewers, right? There's the knotted toothpicks. You've seen those. I'm giving Steve a banquet PTSD right now. Right. My
favorite. Chef? Plating right now.
Yes, right now. Yes, chef. I think my absolute favorite, and then also not favorite, was like the Prism plastic toothpicks. Do you remember those? They're like
Oh, my
triangular.
Yeah.
You could pierce your finger with those, and then they also didn't hold the food very well at
Nope.
all. What about, let's talk about the containers for canapes. So in case anybody doesn't know, there are all these pastry shells you can buy that are different shapes to fill with things like mousse. Like, remember that business?
Oh yeah, the salmon mousse and all that fun stuff.
Ugh.
They were like the little shape of a boat, like a oval boat and all that.
Yeah. Yep. There were the ovalines. There's a
The
barquette,
memory
which
haunts
is
me.
like a little rectangle of pastry, and then there was like the clamshell shape, you know, that you would put like seafood mousse in, with like one tiny scallop and a 1/4 ounce of microgreens, and then there are all sort of things out there, vehicles, inedible and edible, for past appetizers. Just, you would not believe, if you've never seen it in person, it can be a little bit mind-boggling. So
Yeah, I prefer the edible vessels personally.
I like them too. And if you can make it out of something if you can make it right out of something that's edible, edible, and B, somehow appropriate for the dish that you're serving. So let's talk about, like, you can take a potato skin and make it really upscale by using a teeny tiny potato, and you scoop out the inside with like a Parisian scoop, and you make it its own little cup, you know, like, yeah.
Or you could refine it and make vodka.
And your past appetizers will be ready in a year.
I'm pretty sure you can distill vodka pretty quick.
I have to distill this.
Goodness.
Yeah, I like to scoop out, little slices of carrot, or when you make your own cucumber cup, right? For like a tartare or something like that. I kind of hate satay. I hate the idea of satay. I don't like it. I don't like it. You like satay?
They're all right. Yeah, it's not my go-to.
So
it really isn't.
So, to all of our listeners out there, if you've been in the industry for any amount of time, you start to become immune to the novelty of certain things that make people go ooh and ah, because once you've had to make 1,000 of something in an extreme time crunch in not great conditions with maybe less resources than you need and somebody yelling at you, then it loses all of its joy. So,
which is why we are all dead on the inside.
Just saying. I have seen some really, really cool kind of like home hors d'oeuvre ideas floating around on Instagram and TikTok lately. One of them was, like the little pie shells or like tartlets that you can buy, like Elo or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I saw somebody put some dear friends of mine sent me a reel, and it was somebody put tater tots in a mini muffin pan, baked them, and then smashed it down with a shot glass, so it made a potato tartlet crust. I was like, oh, I need that in my life right now.
I had no clue where you were going with that, but I kind of like it now.
You're like, tater tots, danger. I don't know.
I want tater tots.
I want potatoes to be a crust for something. That's what I want. So
yeah, I like.
Did you ever potato wrap a fish, like a fish fillet?
I can't say I have. I don't. If I do, if I have, I don't remember. It's been so long since I've done something like that. I'd probably just be lame enough to like just get the powdered mashed potatoes and make that like my crust,
Well, you could definitely do that, like a potato flake.
Again, that's lame though, like.
I don't think so though. I mean, I think it depends on what you're going for, but
that's when you have the purists say, "Ooh, this is not very good. It is not edible." Like Gordon Ramsay's and stuff, then they're gonna be and then I'm a idiot sandwich, hashtag please don't cancel me.
So I just caught up on all of the this most recent season of Family Guy. I think I watched like all 20 in a row. So it's not everybody's cup of tea. I personally think Seth MacFarlane is hilarious, but he did do this great cutaway gag about Gordon Ramsay, and it showed it was like Stewie as Gordon Ramsay, like yelling at everybody in the kitchen and telling them how stupid they were, and then the camera follows him outside and he goes, Now, come here. Let me talk to you in a completely different tone outside that makes you think I care about you. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's just like the show. I mean, it was a really brilliant spoof. It was pretty hilarious. I was like, oh, they totally do that.
It's true. They show a different side. It's good
true.
family TV.
Yeah.
Actually, I would totally love to meet Gordon Ramsay. I'd be petrified, but I'd love to meet him.
I would probably cry. I met Robert Irvine and I did cry. So I think, yeah.
Gordon Ramsay. I would just be like in awe. Like, bro, I would love to cook for you, but I feel like you're just gonna shit on everything that I make. So we're just gonna have a conversation and randomly cook whatever the fuck I want. I mean, whatever the hell I want, you know.
So
I'm channeling my inner Gordon Ramsay with all of my F-bombs.
Yeah, it's right. It's right.
We used to be a PG show. Now we're rated R.
One day I'll get to take the explicit tag off. So the speed round, Steve, is what kind of hors d'oeuvres would you make if you knew Gordon Ramsay was coming to your restaurant?
Okay, wait. I'm just gonna start shouting out random words or random things.
I mean, sounds good. You're gonna use the Taco Bell approach. Do you want to get a whiteboard and some darts?
The car, the girl, the car. The money. Let's see. If Gordon Ramsay ever came to my place and I had to entertain something for him to eat, I definitely am up on my own crab cakes. I am definitely up on my own Caesar salads. I am definitely up on my own gazpacho. I am definitely up on my own crab salad. I would definitely make green eggs and ham. Yes, Sam, I am. I would do green eggs and ham. Man, that's a tough one.
Somehow I think the novelty of putting green food coloring in eggs would be lost on Gordon Ramsay. I'm just going out all in here.
Here's one that I've always wanted to do. So a couple years ago, right when COVID was starting to let up, I got to go see Primus when they were doing their tribute to King's tour, and they were playing like an album of Rush. I got the meet and greet. We were supposed to meet Primus, but it turned into like a big old Q&A. And so I told them, I'm a chef. Like, what do chefs do stuff for you all the time? And they said the one thing they haven't had that was a success was pork soda after their album, Pork Soda.
Yeah.
I am still, to this day, trying to figure out how to make a good pork soda.
Like a beverage.
An actual beverage. But if Gordon Ramsay came, I would totally try to do a pork soda. I like those two words together for some reason. And I would, if he gave me a hard time about it, I'd be like, Gordon, you need to listen to Primus. You're not cool. And then he'd probably laugh at me and then make it even better than I could, So.
Oh, Steven's making my head hurt.
Pork soda.
Have you thought about how you would make it work though?
No. I would probably have to get like some sort of it would have to be like a bacon, like a candied bacon that you make from scratch that you cured yourself, and get with some sort of like cola essence, and then do like one of those the soda stream machines and do it yourself. You'd have to do that.
Well, I think maybe so we got way off topic, but it could be like a really cool past shooter.
Welcome to the way my mind works. Go down the rabbit trail. And what were we talking about? Was it desserts, Thanksgiving? I don't even remember anymore.
Fast food. I mean, I think that I think you could ferment your own soda. Like, how you can make root beer from sugar cane, or you can make ginger ale from a ginger bug. Like, you could ferment it, right? And it's kind of like making your own kombucha, but less complicated. And then I would want to drink the pork soda from a candied bacon straw that you made by wrapping the candy bacon around a dowel. I'm just saying,
Either way, I just wouldn't want Gordon Ramsay to call me an idiot sandwich.
You could just introduce yourself as one, and then he wouldn't have to do it.
Hello, I'm Gordon Ramsay. Hi, I'm Idiot Sandwich.
Hi, I'm Idiot Sandwich.
Just beat him to the punch, right?
Now that we got that out of the way, here's an awesome crab cake and some questionable pork soda.
Here's some hors d'oeuvres that you can totally crap on and tell me that I'm awful. And I will take it, sir. Chef.
So as a chef, how do you decide what kind of appetizers you're going to put before the meal?
It honestly, it's all what kind of mood I'm in.
Really?
Yeah, I don't cook off of like facts or science or actual information. I just go with however I'm feeling.
Well, I mean, cooking by feeling is a big part of it. But let's say you had a steak. Would you put a beef appetizer before a steak?
Oh, if that's what you mean. No, I would definitely come up with some sort of like different appetizer. I would have some sort of like game bird. I would have some sort of awesome dip or I would have something that would definitely embody the idea of a beef entree or like the experience. You know what I'm saying? It's weird how like every time I think of stuff like this, I think of like experiences. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, you have some sort of weird something different every single course.
I think, even though an appetizer was initially, like I was reading earlier that during the Renaissance, doctors started to prescribe that people eat tiny morsels of food to get the digestive juices flowing, right? To help digestion, to stimulate the appetite. But then as far back as like the Athenians, they would serve all these small bits of food, but then they wouldn't follow it with a main course, and people just got mad at it and stopped doing it, which I think is hilarious. But I think even though it's supposed to be by design, right, to stimulate your appetite, and I think probably in the 40s and 50s, it became like something to do with your hands while you're drinking a cocktail. Okay. Like it just seems like something to pass the time while you're waiting on the meal. However, I can treat them a couple of different ways. Sometimes I like to use an appetizer to tie a theme together. Like if I have themed an amuse-bouche, an appetizer, and then a second and third, or like a main and a dessert. If the entire theme is like provincial French cuisine, right? Then I'm gonna have something that has like thyme and butter and sherry and parsley and something like that, right? I'm gonna have a little aspect of each of the theme in each course, and then sometimes I use an appetizer as a palate cleanser, right?
Would you ever
comes in?
I was gonna say, would you ever do like, let's say, have you ever done like a dinner where someone said, we want every course to be pork, for example, have some sort of pork, or we want every, like
a couple times.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of like those because
like
it makes it just a little bit easier, but at the same time, it makes it harder because you're like, okay, well, I can't repeat myself with this. Well, how many ways can I do pork?
It's definitely a fun challenge, and it can really like cause you to stretch kind of what you know.
Pork soda?
Pork soda. Oh, it's never gonna
hashtag pork soda.
Hashtag please don't cancel us.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hashtag, please don't cancel us. We're just here for the food. And also not pork soda.
That is a long hashtag, by the way.
If you guys in the Discord are playing the don't cancel us drinking game, that's 4 now. Just so if you're keeping up. So
we can make that, we can add on to that very easily, by the way.
So I thought that was great. Thanks for everybody that reaches out, the listeners that like to interact with social media. I appreciate it. That gave me a big laugh.
We'll add on to that. Can an entree be an appetizer? I'm sorry, be an entree. What am I thinking? Hashtag don't cancel me, right?
Can an appetizer be an entree?
Can you make a total meal out of an appetizer?
I'm the absolute worst about ordering 2 or 3 appetizers and making it a meal.
Is it blasphemous to say we're going to put it all on one plate? Can you do that?
You mean like a sampler?
Yeah.
Like a poo-poo platter? Is it blasphemous? Hell no, it's genius.
You think, let's say you went to a restaurant and you wanted to try like 3 different things, but you're like, I don't want the entire thing. I just want a little bit of everything. That's not blasphemous?
I don't know if anybody's going to do that. Now, I have charmed my way into getting some sampler experiences where there was no sampler on the menu before in my lifetime, but I kind of felt bad about doing it afterwards. So
I think I've had people do that for me just because they know my background. So they're like, oh yeah, you got to try this. And I'll tell them flat out, I cannot eat that much. Like I would love to, but I don't want to waste that much food.
Yeah.
So I've had that happen. That was pretty rad.
I mean, if you know somebody, or I think you can play the industry card. Just don't be a jerk, right? Like, you can play the card sometimes.
I never when I was in restaurants, I never played the, oh yeah, I'm a chef. Oh, I work in restaurants. No, man, that's the easiest way to get your food spit in, man.
Well, we've talked about it before, but I don't like doing extra laundry, so I will quite often go out in my chef clothes, which I know that you have a problem with, but
Hashtag, I'm going to cancel you now.
That's 5.
No, that's not the same hashtag.
All it usually gets me is an industry discount. By the way, thank you out there, everybody in my life ever who's given me an industry discount, or it gets me. It's a double-edged sword. It can get you the best service you've ever had, or the worst service you've ever had because they think you'll understand.
I've only been to one restaurant in my life where I was like, I don't like this. Nope. This is horrible.
Yeah.
But the cocktails are out of this world. Yeah. That's where you kind of get yourself in a little bit of trouble there.
So, but yes, I do think that you can put enough appetizers together to make a meal.
Okay.
So
yeah.
There's really no rules. I feel like, I don't know, maybe somebody out there, if you feel like there's rules about what order you have to eat food in and what it's supposed to be.
Start with dessert. Yeah. And then I get my entree and then I get my appetizer. So when I get my amuse-bouche, I'm puzzled as to what are you doing? I'm an adult, and if I want my creme brulee first. Oh, can you imagine going to a restaurant? So what do you have for your appetizer? Yes, I'd like to start with the creme brulee. And then,
well, now I just have to do it for shock value. That's how.
Would you like any appetizers? Yes, bread pudding, please.
Yes, the flourless chocolate torte. Thank you very much. And after that, I'll have a ribeye.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'll take my amuse-bouche después. Thank you very much.
Right.
They would just be like, get out now.
That's when you get the, oh, you're so funny. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. It's like when you eat the whole thing and then you go, I hated it.
Oh, yeah. I didn't like this. This plate is completely empty.
This was terrible. I didn't
like that one.
Can you tell? Yes. The servers, they don't like dad jokes. Don't be that guy.
It's all in the delivery of the dad joke.
It is.
And since I'm not a dad, I can't give a dad joke because I would probably bomb that one,
I don't think you have to be a dad to tell a great dad joke.
I feel like I would just blow it.
I have a pretty good dad joke. It's food related. Would you like to hear it?
Is it because you're pretty punny?
I'm sort of punny.
Okay, tell me.
How do you keep Canadian bacon from curling up in the pan?
How?
You take away its brooms.
Stupid. I thought it was. I had a feeling it was going to be something about curling, but
it was a food-zing and a sports balling joke all in one.
I was about to say, just put water in the pan and cover it up and let it.
Hey, he's like, put a press on top of it. Duh. I heard that from my good friend Carlos over at Good Friends. Interestingly enough, so my favorite appetizer there, right? Well, I've had everything on the menu, backward, forward, upside down, and with an egg on it. However, one of my favorites there is, besides the wings, which I feel like we can talk about that in a minute because they can be appetizer or meal.
Bro, I love wings.
Yeah. I freaking love wings too. Like, that's another episode, I think. A whole other episode in there. Well, they make fried mac and cheese at this bar, but it's very, very clever because it's actually an arancini made with orzo, which is technically pasta. Super smart. So the inside is like velvety smooth, cheesy, and they fry really, really pretty. Very, 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 very clever execution, and they're delicious. So a little tongue in cheek there. Like, this is mac and cheese, but it is an orzo arancini. Arancini is usually, for those of you who don't know, it's croquettes usually made with risotto.
Right. So that just sounds good.
Arancinis. All right. Favorite thing to put on a crostini? Go.
Crab.
What kind of crab?
Jumbo lump.
Yeah, jumbo lump. And what else are you putting on there?
So my go-to for You can ask all my friends that I worked in restaurants with. My go-to is always crab salad, warm crab salad dip with cream cheese and
Yeah.
shallots, and the basic. You know,
Mm-hmm. Oh, you
it
have
was
fish in there
funny.
or no?
The little Chinese lady that I worked with. Every
Yeah.
time we had leftovers, she would make like the best rangoons out of that. So I would
Yes.
intentionally give people like the smallest amount and say, "All right, Miss Betty, make us some rangoons. Have at it." So,
I think my favorite thing to put on a crostini is a sliced steak. You cannot go wrong. Kind of go down that road as like very classic. Like you can go red wine sauce ish, little sliced potato, shredded cabbage. It goes
yeah.
like any direction, right? You can go like bacon, onion, marmalade, blue cheese, or like blue cheese, butter, red wine jus, or like the possibilities are endless. But I like to put a little spread on the crostini first,
Okay, yeah.
like cream
It's
cheese,
almost like the glue, you
or
know?
cream cheese, or scallion butter, or cowboy butter, or maitre d butter, or something like that.
Yeah, I
So
can see
yeah,
that.
a
I
little
can dig
glue
it.
that keeps the things from sliding off.
Yeah,
So I
blue
really
cheese
like that.
man. Mm.
So I love a passable that has its own. It's like its own plate, right? And it's quick bite. So
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I'm all about that. Let's see. I've always been a fan of like every now and then you come across a place and they'll do like some sort of like soup dumpling. You're
Mhm.
like, heck yeah, buddy.
So I actually had, believe it or not, I was really late to the soup dumpling game.
Me too. Don't worry.
I had my first soup dumpling in August last year.
Okay, I wasn't that late. Never
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
You're
And
a late bloomer, my friend.
I went to a Shanghainese restaurant in San Francisco, and I was
That's where I
not.
had my first soup dumpling.
Really?
See, I told you we agree on too much crap. We're gonna have to just start disagreeing like randomly. Not that we really disagree with each other, but just because.
Give the people what they want. Just horribly lukewarm takes that we can.
That's good ratings right there.
That's good pod. No, but I wasn't versed in the correct way to eat a soup dumpling, and I literally got a blister on the roof of my mouth that was like the size of a nickel, and it took
How are you
forever to
supposed to eat it then? I don't even know.
Well, I don't know, but I did it wrong because I injured myself.
There shouldn't be a wrong way because that's what happened to me.
It
I was
hurt.
like,
Did
oh,
you burn yourself?
probably.
I
I
think
just
you
shoved food in my mouth.
you bite a little bit of the dumpling and then you use your chopstick to lift it up and pour the soup into like the spoon, like the soup spoon is what I've seen. Yeah, I mean dumplings, a fantastic appetizer. I will never pass up gyoza or pierogies if it's on a menu ever.
Same.
So
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
like spinach dip in that regard. What about fondue? How do you feel about that as an appetizer?
I think it can definitely be an appetizer. My problem with fondue is that I would get full off of it because I would not stop.
Yeah, I mean, don't be a quitter, dude. Like,
I know that's when you get the.
you
Are you
order
ready
that.
to order your entree? I'm still kind of making my way on this fondue. Okay, sure.
Yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You order that entree and you make yourself eat it.
You eat it like a real champion.
Eat it like a champion eater person. Yeah. All right. So spinach artichoke dip. What about queso?
I am a big fan of queso, especially. I'm sorry, queso. Someone, hey, did you know? So one time I made a video and it was like my queso, and I kept calling it queso, and someone spelled out said, "Quit saying queso like Kesso." I was like, how am I supposed to really say it? But yeah, chips and queso. I'm all about it.
People are the worst.
Well, you can dig into it and heckle, but then you're like, okay, whatever. So whenever I get queso, I love when there's like a little bit of chorizo on top, and I love when they throw avocado slices on top, and then you just mix all that up. I absolutely love that.
So I think I remember Torchy's being a sore subject with you, but their queso is really good. So
yeah, their queso doesn't suck. I'll give them that.
Yeah,
but their tacos, they just gotta send out hot tacos, and then they'd be the bomb.
I like all the weird ones anyway that are not technically tacos anyway. Like I then it kind of disqualifies it. I mean, there's like tikka coconut things happening, and then there's
Right?
like they have like the Roscoe, which is like an literally a mini Eggo waffle, an egg, bacon, salsa, maple syrup, and a flour tortilla. Like it's not even taco, like it's like chicken and waffle. Yeah.
So I want to
So
say right around Thanksgiving, or it might have been Christmas. I don't remember. I saw this video that the Food Network did, and this guy was doing like the Thanksgiving meal tacos and stuff.
yeah,
And
sure.
there was so much hate about it. And I thought, yeah, I wouldn't do that either.
Well,
No,
Torchy's has one too. They do like they do like a mole spice turkey with cranberry sauce and stuffing, and it was delicious. And I ate 2 of them, and I think there was like French fried onions in it, and I was not mad at it.
don't get me wrong, it
Well,
all sounds good, but like I
super
said, they
white
just
people
need to
like
make
it.
sure that it's hot when it comes out.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the only thing.
If you're gonna do something weird or different, then do it really, really well.
Or really,
Right?
really hot. One of the two.
Really, really hot. The appropriate temperature that you need to serve it at.
Yes.
What about favorite type of finger foods? Are you the poppers guy, cheese sticks, mini corn dog?
Oh, you got me on a good topic. I love me some cheese sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheese sticks are good. I always like finger foods. Yeah, poppers are the bomb.
What about Yo, you don't do fried pickles, right?
You know what? Again, I'm slowly coming around to it. If someone orders fried pickles, I will drown it in ranch, but I will enjoy it.
I was gonna say, like, if you put enough ranch on it, like it wouldn't be
Is it
terrible.
really a fried pickle at that point?
What about? I mean, yes.
Would
It
you
is.
like some fried pickles with all your ranch? That's what
What
it's like
about
with me.
calamari?
I love calamari. It's good. It makes me happy, especially when you dip it in like a homemade. You got like all your homemade sauces, the tartar sauce, and have you ever had like the homemade like sweet chili sauce? Holy
Yeah,
cow!
like Made Boy, but
Like you
it's
could just
from scratch.
like it's you can tell it's like that, but you can
Yeah.
definitely tell that it's homemade. Holy
Yeah,
cow!
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. What's another good one? What about like stuffed crepes and all that kind of stuff? Would you like that as an appetizer?
No, I think those are breakfast food, to be honest.
Really? I think
Yeah.
crepes, if you make them just right, you can stuff them with anything, and it could be good for
Well,
anything.
it's not that I haven't had savory crepes, but never as an appetizer, and always as part of breakfast. Like Cafe Brazil, the chain, they make like a good chorizo and cream sauce crepe with a fried egg. It's
Uh-huh.
delicious. So,
Okay.
or like Blintz's. I always equate crepes with like either like the roadside stand or the cart. Like New York Times Square has a crepe cart that does like the banana Nutella type deal.
Right.
But then you have crepes like hotel breakfast buffet, right? Like
Yeah.
crepes and blintzes. I never think of it as an appetizer, but that's interesting because I think more and more restaurants are starting to do breakfast appetizers, which is kind of odd to me, but I've seen it around here at least, right? Where it's like a sausage ball or a mini beignet or a mini cinnamon roll, and it's for the table to share. Yeah. So
I could dig it.
it's
Totally.
weird. Usually my appetizer for breakfast is lots of black coffee, but I'm being told more and more, especially recently, that doesn't count as a meal. Whatever, haters. So
I mean, I'd be about it. I'd be on board with it. Yeah, for sure. Why not?
what about tapas? Any favorites?
Let's see. I am always a fan. So back towards the end of my restaurant days, we had a chef from the Basque country,
Mhm.
and he would come up with like he loved like all the seafood, tapas and all that kind of stuff, and they were always so good.
Yeah.
He would do all sorts of like sofritos and all that fun stuff. And so he turned me on to a lot of like that Spanish style. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he was cool. He was good about that, you know?
I love that. I love the Spanish flavors. And so when Steven says sofrito, he means a cooking mixture. It's kind of similar to how the French will use mirepoix to start a dish, right? Onions, carrots, and celery in Louisiana, the Holy Trinity: onions, bell pepper, celery, sometimes garlic. Sofrito is a little bit different. It is onions, garlic, and sometimes, you can tell me, is it sometimes or all the time tomato?
I believe it's all the time tomato.
Yeah.
Traditionally, but you could always change that up.
Well, several different types of
There are variations, yeah.
The Cuban sofrito is not going to be the same as the Spanish, but if you're starting like a sofrito, usually it's going to be the base of like paella, for instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like a Spanish, like a seafood stew. And so it might have celery, it might have onions, it might have animal drippings. It kind of depends on what you're going to use it for, but it is tasty. Really, really amazing stuff.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. For Spanish tapas, I think I really like boquerones. We talked about this in the trends of 2023 episode. It's the white Spanish anchovies that are packed in olive oil, not packed in brine, like not salty at all, very, very delicate. I like that on a bolillo bread with like some mayonnaise and some roasted red peppers. Makes an excellent little sandwich. You have to think tapas were initially, it was just a piece of bread with something on top to keep flies out of people's sherry. So they had to continue to make them more and more interesting and do different things on top of these pieces of bread, to keep the people coming back, right, to the bars. And then they became the star of the show, right? And then it was tapas bars. So there's all sort of things. There's gambos al ajillo, which is shrimp with garlic. It's like toasted garlic. There's albondigas. The Spanish ones are really interesting. Sometimes they're like beef and pork and studded with almonds, and the sauce can have like a little saffron. What about croquetas, Steven? You had those? I
love croquetas. They're a pain in the ass to make, but I absolutely love them.
They really are. Spanish style croqueta, for those of you who don't know, is white sauce based with a ham inside, and it can have like a little bit of a white cheese, and they're triple breaded. They can look a little bit like a tater tot. And then the croquettes that you would get like at a Cuban restaurant, not too much different. Now, my favorite croquette from the good old US of A, if you can call it that, would be the broccoli cheddar bites from Bennigan's. Rest in peace, Bennigan's. So
those were good.
I'm a simple girl with simple taste sometimes. So I love a good fritter. Man, I love a good fritter or a good croquette.
Fritters are good.
Fritters are
There's
really
something
good.
about fritters that make you happy.
Indeed.
Mostly because they're deep fried.
Yeah. I mean, it's like 90% of the reason, for sure. And fritter is a fun word to say.
One can't help but smile when they say the word fritters.
100%. Now, do you think sushi rolls is an appetizer, an entree, or it could be either?
I don't think of them as appetizers. However, I have been known to snack on them as appetizers before I order my other sushi rolls. So, yeah, I'd be all about it too. Sushi is just good.
Well, we would be remiss if we did not mention kind of the king of is it an appetizer or is it an entree? The charcuterie board.
That's a feast in itself, okay? Let's just be real.
It is the upscale Lunchable.
Exactly.
It's a deconstructed Lunchable.
Do what?
It's a deconstructed Lunchable.
Exactly. But with many more options.
With many more expensive options.
Yeah. Anytime that you can have meats and cheeses and crackers, and then you could throw olives and all sorts of other stuff with it. Yeah, sure. We're being fancier with our Lunchables.
We're just getting bougie with the Lunchables.
We're somewhat releasing our inner child.
Yeah,
or
right?
Me.
I don't know. I did love some Lunchables, though.
I did too. My favorite was like the little pizza ones growing up.
Now, if you asked me if I would assemble a cold pizza now and eat it, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. But it felt like a treat at the time because you remember that pizza Lunchable had like the off-brand can of Coke in it that was kind of weird, that didn't taste like Coke, but it had like that can of Coke, or sometimes it had like a juice pouch. You remember that?
Not in particular.
So
No.
it kind of tasted like you let a Coke go flat and then you rebottled it. Like, and it was very, very syrupy. So very, very syrupy.
True.
Hey.
Yeah. Appetizers are just the many reasons why we love food. And there's so many different ways that you can prepare them. And the best part about it is that it's a small portion. So if you have a couple, it's all right. You're not being a complete glutton, because then once you order your entree and then your desserts, that's when you become the glutton.
That's right. But no judgment, because you do you, booze.
And if there is judgment, hashtag please don't cancel us.
Please don't cancel us. Okay, there was number 5. Jonathan Heil.
5 or 6.
Jonathan Heil, if you're playing a drinking game, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, while you're playing the drinking game, that'll start to get some good little buzz going.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, I have had a wonderful time talking about all the things that come first: starters, first courses, appetizers, hors d'oeuvres, canapes. What about you, Steve?
I had a great time talking about anything but appetizers. I felt like we went down all these different holes and tangents and whatnot, and I had a blast.
Everything found its way back there, though. I feel like everything was relevant. What are you going to be up to this week? Cooking anything special?
I am actually going to go to Austin and San Antonio and go catch up with some friends and go check out some new places, and then go check out some favorites back down in San Antonio. So yeah, what about you?
It's going to be life as per usual here. I'm sure I will hit my local spot maybe one night this week, and that's about it. I'll be eating soup and cornbread leftovers. And I was smart, so I still have 4 tamales from Christmas in the freezer. So I'm sure those will get eaten this week too, one at a time, because they come in their own little, convenient package. But no, I don't have any. The next thing on the horizon for me is probably oxtails. I've been in the mood for oxtails, so
I need to pick some up. Yeah,
so good.
One does not simply do one tamal, though. You have to eat them all.
No,
that's
not at once.
Debatable.
Stop it.
It's debatable, but you can't have just one.
Oh, it's just one.
It's like a Pringle. Once you start, the fun don't stop.
They're really, really big.
Fair enough.
So yeah, maybe 2, but the point is I'll get 2 meals out of it. So otherwise, the rest of the time I'll be at work, and it'll be 5 cups of coffee and an Oreo. That's how we're rolling.
All work and no tamales makes Melissa a dull girl.
It makes Homer something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Simpsons references. I love it. Steve, where can people find you on the internet?
Check me out on social media, Chef Steven Gonzalez on Facebook, Chef Stegons on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, or just go to chefstevengonzalez.com and heckle me about food.
Yes, all the heckling, but mostly we just want 5-star reviews and fun interactions from listeners and viewers. You can find us at the Food for ThoughtCast on Facebook and Instagram. Still want those baking questions. Got lots of fun episodes coming up. Let us know if you have questions about cooking, about baking specifically. We're going to be talking about wings in the future. We're going to be talking about pasta in the future. Why don't you just shout us out on social media and just let us know what you're cooking? That's all. That's where the conversation starts. What are you cooking, and how did it turn out?
That's all that matters.
So that's all that matters. I would like to say a special thank you to David Dollar and Jen Novotny over at the Main Street Electrical Podcast, your leading podcast for all things Disney, imagination, magic, and pop culture. They give our podcast a shout out quite frequently. And I am going to return the favor. If you're looking for a Disney podcast or fantastic travel agents for any travel needs you might have, please look up the Main Street Electrical Podcast on all the places you find the finer podcast, or Upon a Star Travel as well. So
that is awesome.
It is awesome. They're awesome, and they're big supporters of the show. So thank you guys so much. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Dude, eat some appetizers, pass some canapes, order some hors d'oeuvres.
Make stories out of it.
And make stories, make memories, have food experiences.
Yes.
For Steve, I'm Melissa, and we gotta go. Bye.
Ciao.
That's a wrap for today. Until the next episode of the Food for ThoughtCast, make good food, eat good food, share it, and be kind to one another.
Thanks so much for listening today. You are part of what makes us special, and we are so glad you joined us. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave a review. Just like food, delicious podcasts are better when you share them with others. Come back for seconds wherever podcasts are served, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Food for ThoughtCast.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at the Food for ThoughtCast or at www.foodforthoughtcast.com, where you can link to all podcast players, or you can send us an email at foodforthoughtcmc@gmail.com.